All right. Time's up for Vonnie and Company.
Be paying income tax.
Welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with my co-hosts, Taylor Riggs, Brian Benberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for this hour, Great Hill Capital Chairman Thomas Hayes. Great to see you. Not only is that is less than 2 months of, that is the definition of insanity.
I think this is all about direction, not destination. We know the math doesn't add up, but it's the idea of pro-growth policies. And furthermore, this is really just an advertisement to the Supreme Court. If you unwind these tariffs, I'm just going to pay it out as dividends, baby. If you keep it, I'm going to pay down debt. So we can pay down the debt one of two ways. We can have massive growth through handing out these dividend checks, in which case we're going to inflate it away. Or we can be responsible about it and keep the tariff income coming in, and we will use that money to pay down debt. Up to you, Mr. and Mrs. Supreme Court. That's the way it's going to be. But the name of the game here is, people are afraid of inflation, they're afraid of yields, and it's recency bias. What we had with COVID inflation was a unique situation of ongoing checks and supply chain disruption, and people locked in their house with nothing else to do but order goods. That's not going to be the case this time, predominantly because of the most important policy, which is the energy policy. You keep energy low. The Saudis respect this administration. They have been towing the line and keeping production up. If oil stays down, they can get away with murder. They can hand out dividend checks till the cows come home. The supply chain is not going to be disrupted, and we are going to grow above trend, just like we did post-World War II. The last time we had debt to GDP at 120%, we basically grew our way and inflated a little bit, 3 to 5% inflation. By 1957, debt to GDP dropped to 63% from growth and letting the economy run hot. Like Larry Kudlow always says, let it rip. And that's exactly what this administration is going to do with the dream team of Hassett and Bessent.
That's your prediction.
I think that's the way it's going to go. He's going to go as low. He's going to be like...
We shall discuss this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the getting away with murder, that was figurative.
And we have yet to have a response from Amazon, but it is a scenario that is playing out across the country. And in many cases, city and county leaders say, you know what, the upside of these data centers is just too good to turn down. Guys, back to you.
Ashley Webster, appreciate it. Tom, do you agree? Is the upside too good to pass up, or do you hear the risks?
I think the upside is too good to pass up, but you can't play the obvious plays. You have to play the derivative plays, the pick and shovels. We've played this year massively through Comstock Resources, natural gas play, cheapest, lowest cost producer of natural gas. That's going to drive the energy for the data center boom. We played it through the least popular play, which was Intel, which happened to be the second best AI performer this year. Outperformed NVIDIA this year. They make basic chips for data centers. Then you got Generac. They have the #1 standby generator, commercial generator, backup power for these data centers, which is absolutely critical. No one's even paying attention because they say, oh, there weren't hurricanes in Florida, therefore sell Generac. They're thinking about the home standby generators. They've got a $500 million backlog just in data center backup demand. And then finally, you take a simple company like Brad Jacobs, QXO, building supplies. All of these are going to need roofs. They're going to need building materials. And this theme is just beginning. So don't play the obvious. The data center vehicles are very, very crowded. The obvious AI plays are very, very crowded, overvalued. Play the non-obvious players where you're going to see margin expansion, you're going to see revenue growth, and you're going to see earnings go really accelerate and the stock go up.
Dagan, one thing that was
We all know that. Stubborn inflation, a slowing job market, and a fractured board of governors making America's fiscal future very uncertain. So you hinted to that a little bit before, Tom. You believe that it was not some sort of a slip-up, but that it was intentional. That's who the Fed chair will be. Talk to me about what you think the world will look like in 2026 with Kevin Hassett as a Fed chair, as we're dealing with ADP data today that showed a little bit of a slow. Private sector employment shed 32,000 jobs, 32,000 in November.
It gives them cover. If you know a little bit about limbo, if you went to college and frat parties, it's going to be President Trump on one side of the stick, Scott Bessent on the other side, and Kevin Hassett, and they're going to be saying, how low can you go? How low can you go? And Hassett's going to say, I can go lower.
You really
I can
think
go
that's
lower.
what he's going to do? You really think Hassett's just going to be a cut, all politics?
not all politics, all grounded in economic data. We've got to get people into starter homes. We've got to get the housing economy, 18% of GDP, back humming again. We've got to get small businesses humming. You know what thrives when you cut rates? Small caps. Smaller businesses can refinance debt, take solvency risk off the table, grow, expand. You want these data centers to build out to give us a competitive advantage. You need low
rates.
debt financing.
Okay.
And they're going to do this all. And if they get a little inflation, they'll produce more oil. If that doesn't work, they can stop cutting. But you're also going to have Secretary Bessent working the long end of the curve. They have tools in their toolbox, like Operation Twist. If they need to, if the long end starts to blow out, they can control the short end. If the bond end doesn't cooperate on the long end, the Treasury can get in there.
Okay, a couple of points there that Tom makes, Brian. I like this idea of lower rates if it's warranted based on the data. But then when you start talking about Operation Twist and other engineering, I'm starting to think back to 2008 after the crisis. We took interest rates down to zero. We were expanding the balance sheet. I don't actually like all of that massaging to make it work. I think the pieces should come together a little bit more naturally.
So let's have transparent targets. Here's what we're going to do. Actually invite more public comment, right? But narrow the mandate of the Fed down, which I think everybody can agree. They shouldn't be talking about climate change or whatever else. So I think that critics of Hassett and Trump want to paint him as a just cut to appease the president. Well, I don't think he's going to be that kind of guy.
Yeah, I think there's something else that is a major development in December, which is quantitative tightening has ended.
Yes.
Okay, so they're no longer selling into the market. There's actually going to be a bid, and that's going to help control the long end a little bit and give them a more natural latitude, because they're not natural sellers into the market, for the further end out on the curve to be tame while they move into this more normalized position. Remember, we're still 100 basis points above inflation, restrictive on policy. So there's some room to cut and to really drive growth here. I'm not saying we need to go back down to zero. If we go down to zero, it's because the economy's collapsed. So that's not where we're going to go. But we got to go to neutral and let growth and animal spirits back into the picture. And I think that's going to happen pretty quickly.
Taylor, what say you about the wages? We're up 4.4% year over year. That's better than the overall average when we look at it. Right spot?
A lot of that is, for small businesses, their debt service has doubled in the last 2 years from Powell, and we're waiting for a massive refinancing wave, which I think we're going to start to see in 2026, because the market, once you know it's Hassett, the market's going to start to price that in. They'll be able to hit the market, and they'll be able to go back into expansion mode versus survival mode with huge debt service payments. It's been very onerous, particularly on small caps, which tend to be the most leveraged, unfortunately.
What do you think? We can't let China do it. We can't let Russia do it. Everybody wants to do it, but let's show the world how smart we truly are. And we are also the wealthiest nation in the world, so put your money where your mouth is and get it done.
Tom, quick last thought.
Well, if SpaceX is the Uber of space, Blue Origin is now the Lyft. It's the Pepsi of space. Look, it's going to be the new Persian Gulf over time in terms of minerals, in terms of helium, in terms of possibility of data centers and cooling and all the things. So it is an aggressive race. It's better that we have two than one. Hopefully we have 3 or 4. But it's progress, and it's good for the government to have multiple bids for sure.
There you go.
And it's improving the technology, and some of these simple technologies that can be used are fantastic.
Two men with their and they're not.
I am thrilled to be doing this with you, Dagan. 3 hours a day.
Get excited.
Was that a dad joke?
I love dad jokes. I love Tom Hayes. He's a dad. Thanks for being here for the hour, man.
Thank you
Good
for
to
having
see
me.
you.
I appreciate
All right,
that.
Coming up, Making America